The stakes in Saturday's Bennelong by-election could hardly be higher. While both Liberal and Labour camps predict John Alexander will hold on against the Alp's Kristen Akilat, a government defeat would be calamitous for Malcolm Turnbull, leaving the coalition with a minority on the floor of the House of Representatives. In the event of a very narrow win by Mr. Alexander, who has a handy 9.7% margin, how the result was interpreted would become important in whether Mr. Turnbull lost serious skin. The by-election is certainly not risk-free for Bill Shorten. After several bad weeks, he needs a strong Labour performance if he is to end the year with some momentum. A Fairfax Media Reach Tell poll done on Tuesday in Bennelong had the Liberals leading 53 to 47% on a two-party basis. A Weekend News poll had a 50 to 50% result. Mr. Turnbull described it as a very tight contest. The likely impact of the China factor has been much talked about in the by-election lead-up because the seat has a high proportion of voters with a Chinese background. About 21% of the Bennelong population have Chinese heritage, compared with 5.2% in New South Wales generally, and around 16% of the voters. Bennelong is the top electoral division for percentage of Chinese Australian voters, based on the 2016 census. The China factor is a potent cocktail of issues: the behaviour of Labour's Sam Dastyari, who has now announced he is quitting Parliament, the government's legislation cracking down on foreign, notably Chinese, interference in Australian politics, and the Alps' shrill by-election rhetoric about Chinophobia. And then there is the question of what impact these debates have on the rest of the seat's voters. The Fairfax poll found 2/3 of the electors supported the move against foreign interference. Given the timing and the government's ruthless exploitation of the Dastyari affair, it is easy to cast what is happening to counter foreign interference just in a short-term political context. In fact, it represents a much bigger, more fundamental change in concerns about and policy towards Chinese influence in Australia. As strategic expert Hugh White, from ANU, writes in his quarterly essay, published in late November, Without America, Australia in the New Asia. As well, of course, as the allegations of attempts to buy influence over Australian politicians. White, it should be noted, draws a distinction between China's capability and what it has actually done. Speaking to The Conversation this week, he said, while it is wise to take precautions against China or other countries seeking to influence our politics in illegitimate ways, the government has so far not provided any clear evidence that Beijing is actively seeking to do so at the moment. The rise in government concern has manifested itself quite recently. It was only in 2015 that the port of Darwin was leased for 99 years to the Chinese company Ladbridge. It was a decision by the Northern Territory government, but it was okayed and later strongly defended by the Defense Department's officialdom. It seemed then, and still seems, an extraordinary decision, and one that probably will be made today.